Somewhere in Washington, there is a bill. It is about 200 pages long. It would decide the legal fate of a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Most of Congress agrees, in principle, that it should exist. It has been sitting ready for a vote since the 1st of June. And today, the 30th of July, 2026, nobody has voted on it. Not because they hate it, because of a fight over roughly one paragraph. This is the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. Everyone calls it the Clarity Act. Its job sounds boring. Its job is to answer one question that has haunted crypto for over a decade. When you buy a token, what did you actually just buy? A share in a company? A commodity, like corn or copper? A piece of software? Nothing at all? In the United States, that question has no clean legal answer, which means that for 15 years, an entire industry has been operating without a rulebook. Not an illegal industry, an unclassified one. And unclassified turns out to be worse than you think. Every serious attempt to fix this has failed. Bills were drafted in 2018, in 2020, in 2022. All of them died quietly. This one got closer than any of them, which is exactly why the last few meters hurt so much. America has two financial referees. The SEC watches securities, stocks, bonds, investments, where you hand your money to a team and hope they make it grow. The CFTC watches commodities. Wheat, oil, gold. Things that simply exist. A stock has a company behind it. Gold does not. So which one is a token? Here is the problem. It can be both. At different times. A token launched by 12 people in a room, funded entirely by promises, looks almost exactly like a stock. The same token, 10 years later, running on thousands of computers scattered across the planet, with the founders long gone, looks a lot more like gold. Nothing in American law was built for an asset that changes species halfway through its life. The categories are much older than the problem. One of them was written for companies. The other one was written for crops. So instead of a rule book, crypto got 15 years of lawsuits. Regulation by enforcement. Companies discovered what the rules were by being sued for breaking them. It worked the way a fire alarm works. It tells you where the fire already was. The Clarity Act's actual idea is elegant, and almost nobody talks about it. It says, fine. Let the token change species. It creates a category called an ancillary asset, a token that begins its life supervised by the SEC, because at the start, there really is a team whose work drives its value. That team has to disclose things: who they are, how many tokens they hold, what they are building. And then the bill defines an exit. If the network becomes genuinely decentralized, if no person or coordinated group controls it, and the founder's efforts no longer drive its value, the token graduates. It leaves the SEC. It becomes a digital commodity under the CFTC. Read that again, because it may be the strangest sentence in American financial law. Decentralization would stop being a slogan on a website. It would become a legal test with a written definition and consequences. The bill even says the quiet part out loud. Validators and nodes, the machines that keep a network running, do not count as control. That one carve-out is why software engineers who have never read a bill in their lives are reading this one. So, how far has it actually gotten? Further than anything before it. In July 2025, the House of Representatives passed it, 294 votes to 134. That is not a squeaker. That is a landslide with both parties inside it. For context, most bills never receive a vote at all, let alone a bipartisan one. In May 2026, the Senate Banking Committee advanced it, 15-9. On the 1st of June, it was placed on the Senate calendar, which means it is fully eligible for a floor vote. No more committees, no more homework. It is sitting there, loaded. The White House wanted a signing ceremony on the 4th of July. There was no signing ceremony. and as of today, no floor vote has been scheduled at all. For a bill in Washington, this is escape velocity. Most legislation never leaves the launch pad. This one is in orbit, waiting for somebody to press a button. Nobody has pressed it. That is not incompetence. Which brings us to the real question. If it passed the House by a landslide, cleared its committee, and is sitting ready on the calendar, why has nobody voted? The answer is 3 fights, and almost none of it is about blockchains. It is about a president, a programmer, and a bank. Quick pause. Our bot has spent this entire video trying to file the bill in a drawer, and the drawer keeps spitting it back out. If you want more of us pulling the casing off the machinery under the money, subscribing helps more than you would guess. The duck is doing the pointing. He is extremely committed to the pointing. Right? 3 fights. Fight 1. On the 30th of June, 2026, the Office of Government Ethics published the President's annual financial disclosure. It showed roughly $1.4 billion of income from crypto ventures in 2025. A memecoin, token sales, a stablecoin holding company, more than double his total reported income the year before. Here is the genuinely awkward part. There is no law that specifically stops a sitting official from launching a token. That gap is real, and people in both parties admit it is real. So the Clarity Act grew an ethics section. A first-of-its-kind ban on the president, the vice president, and members of Congress profiting from crypto businesses while they hold office? Sounds settled. It is not. Democratic committee staff say the version on the table is riddled with loopholes and would not have stopped that $1.4 billion. The White House says Democrats already won this fight and should take the deal. Neither claim is obviously false. They are arguing about enforcement and expiry dates, which is precisely where bills go to die. Fight 2 lives in Section 604. It protects people who write code but never touch your money. Under it, a developer who publishes open source software, holds nothing, and custodies nothing cannot be forced to register as a money transmitter. Supporters say that without this, writing certain kinds of software in America becomes a personal legal risk, and the developers simply leave. Opponents say it opens a lane with no records and no reporting, and that fraud networks and sanctions evaders will drive straight down it. Both of those sentences can be true at the same time. That is the entire problem. One paragraph, 2 completely reasonable positions, and no version of the text that satisfies both of them. Senator Ron Wyden, who nobody would describe as a crypto cheerleader, has publicly pushed to keep Section 604 in. When a privacy hawk and a crypto lobby want the same paragraph, it is worth asking why. Both of them are worried about the same person, the one who only ever published words. Fight 3 is the one with actual money sitting on the table. An earlier law, the Genius Act, banned stablecoin issuers from paying you interest, but it said nothing at all about exchanges paying you rewards. So, exchanges pay rewards. Banks noticed, because a dollar earning yield outside a bank is a dollar that left the bank. The bank lobby wants clarity to close that gap. The current draft tries to split the difference. Rewards tied to activity survive. Passive deposit-style yield gets squeezed. Nobody is happy. Which, in Congress, is occasionally a sign of progress. This sounds technical. It is not. It is the oldest fight in finance, wearing a new hoodie. Who gets to hold your dollars and who gets paid for holding them? Now the part where we stop cheerleading. There is a serious case against this bill, and it does not come only from people who dislike crypto. A lot of it comes from inside crypto. The argument runs like this. A rulebook is never neutral. Compliance costs money, and money favors the large. Write a comprehensive framework, and the people who thrive are the institutions with legal departments, not the 14-year-old with a laptop and an idea. Analysts at the Cato Institute point to a real contradiction in the text. Ancillary assets get securities-style disclosure obligations while sitting inside a category the bill itself calls a commodity. That is not a typo you patch later. That is a seam. Harsher critics call the whole thing a Trojan horse, a system designed to make middlemen unnecessary, handed carefully back to the middlemen with a ribbon on it. And New York's Attorney General has warned it could weaken the power of individual states to investigate fraud. None of that is noise. It deserves a real answer, and right now, the bill does not fully have one. So where does it stand today? No cloture motion has been filed. No floor vote is scheduled. The Senate has been busy with sanctions legislation and appointments. Recess begins in early August, and cloture on its own needs 60 votes and can burn up to 30 hours of debate before the actual vote even starts. So the fastest realistic path still has 4 more steps in it, and step 1 has not happened. Prediction markets have watched all of this and flinched. Traders on Polymarket once priced passage this year above 80%. This month it fell to record lows in the 30s, jumped when an ethics deal was rumored, and sagged again. That number is not truth. It is a thermometer. But the fever is real. And if the clock runs out, the bill does not die. It just gets older. September arrives with an election year attached. And election years are where careful compromises get reopened by people who need a slogan. Here is the thing worth remembering a week from now. This bill is not stuck because the technology is hard. It is stuck because somebody finally has to write down who is responsible for what. And that has always been the hard part. Every technology reaches this moment. Radio reached it. The car reached it. The internet reached it twice. A messy public fight about rules is not a sign that something is failing. Usually, it is a sign that it got big enough to matter. The Clarity Act might pass in August. It might slide into next year. It might come back wearing a different name and half its teeth. But the question underneath it doesn't go away. And somebody eventually has to answer it. So, one question, 5 words or fewer. Passes this year or not? Best answer gets pinned.